this is. What do you think it is?
A gray fox.
It is a gray fox. Yes, it's a gray fox. Now, obviously, we see some red on her. And a lot of times people will see that and they'll say, oh, red fox. If I had my red fox with me, you'd be able to see the difference immediately. Red foxes are quite a bit larger than this. Red foxes are quite a bit taller than this, and there's a reason for that too. Red foxes, where are you going? Going to turn around? Red foxes tend to be ground-dwelling animals. They tend to like to live in fields, and they need that height in their legs to be able to look over the grasses and things. Gray foxes are woodland foxes. Because of that, we tend to think that we don't have as many gray foxes around here. We actually have just as many as red foxes. We don't see them as easily, though. If you see a red fox, you could see it 3/4 of a mile away in a field. You can't look that far into a forest, so it's very seldom that we see gray foxes. I see them at night especially. I have one in my neighborhood that actually is her boyfriend. Comes around and visits in the springtime. But anyway, gray foxes can climb trees. Gray foxes, even though they're canids, they look a lot like a cat. They've got a vertical pupil. I don't know if you can see that with her, but you can see that she's got a vertical pupil. She has semi-retractable claws that allow her to climb trees. And this means that she eats an awful lot of things. She might eat birds, she might eat bird eggs. I have actually seen photographs of gray foxes with a fawn, like a 2-day-old fawn, that they've dragged off the ground up into a tree, and they have it, over a branch. It looked like one of those African photos of a lion in a tree with a leopard in a tree with some type of a big antelope. It was very cool to see. But she's fairly small. She's a female. The females tend to be smaller than the males. But you might see how short she is. I don't know if she'll stand up for you. But if we can get her, here you go, to stand up. No, you're not going to stand up, are you? You're going to sit down. You'll see that she's got very short legs. And this makes a lot of sense if you happen to be a tree climber, because you want a low center of gravity. So she can climb very well. She will spend some time in the trees. And this is why we tend to not see them as much as we see a red fox. Oh, and by the way, most of the red foxes in our area are not native foxes. Red foxes were an indigenous fox in the United States way back, but they tended to be more western than here in New England. Remember that back in the colonial days, there wasn't a whole lot of open field. It was a very wooded area, and so it just didn't have the habitat for red foxes. But the British liked to hunt red foxes. So the British brought European red foxes over and introduced them here in the United States, and so that's why in New England we see a lot of these European red foxes. She's a wild animal and needs to be treated with that kind of respect. And that's one thing I say about all of the animals that we have. When we do programs like this, you can see I really like these animals, but they're not pets. You see her in her winter coat right now? Like everything else, when she starts to change in the springtime, she's going to blow out this coat. It'll probably take her a week to completely blow the coat out. She doesn't even have any hair in her tail at that point. They look so ratty. They look like a coyote with mange. They really do. But she is, again, she's 6 years old. They'll live to be 15 years old. And I would like to get a male, not because we'd want to breed them or anything, but just to show you the size differences. I happened to be in New Hampshire one time, and I had her with me, and I was driving along, and a big male gray fox ran right across the road in front of me, and I was just amazed at the size difference between the males and the females.